Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 20th annual Black History Month celebration here at Adelphi. My name is Kevin Dexter. I'll be the host for the evening. A couple quick notes before we bring our guest of honor, Ben Kenyon, on tonight. Your microphones and videos will be off for this entire conversation, including the chat feature, but you are encouraged to submit questions on the Q&A tab at the bottom of your screen. So if you have any questions throughout for Ben, please put them in there, and we will try to get to as many of them as we can tonight. And this event will be recorded and shared on the Adelphi University Athletics YouTube page at the end of the event if you'd like to go back and take a look through our conversation one more time. Our guest of honor tonight was a four-year member of the Adelphi men's basketball program from 2002 through 2006, made 3 NCAA tournaments in his career at Adelphi, went on to a career working at Florida and George Washington, then spent 7 years with the Portland Trail Blazers as a performance coach, and he is currently the head strength coach with the Philadelphia 76ers since November of 2020. And he's also launched his own company, Great Day Squad. We'll have a great conversation here tonight. Let's welcome our guest of honor, Ben Kenyon.
Am I on? Can you see me, Kev?
We got you?
Come on, baby. Hey, thank you for the intro, dude. Super pumped to be here.
Welcome. This is going to be a lot of fun, a lot to talk about. First things first, what is it like for you to be back speaking to a bunch of people at Adelphi?
This is amazing, man. I think about all the different people that have actually allowed me to get here, from Maggie Yoon. Maggie, my bad with your last name. I know you got a different last name now, but Maggie Yoon, who helped me out a whole bunch. Jamie Cosgrove, who was my head coach when I played there. All the freaking people that I play with on my team, all the athletes, all the students. It's cool to be able to come back and kind of share my journey with them now.
So it was 20 years ago when you were a high school student, figuring out where you were going to go to college and play basketball in college. Why Adelphi?
20 years ago. Hold on.
Not making you feel old. I'm sorry about it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Why Adelphi? Why did you choose Adelphi? What made Adelphi so special for you?
Oh man, Adelphi was so special for a few reasons. So I graduated from Blair Academy, which was a prep school. I was a small minority there. And I remember when I visited Adelphi, it had a lot more diversity. Being near the city, it's not in New York City, it's in Long Island, but being near a city, being a commuter school, I saw a lot of different people, and that was super important for me. So that was number one. Number two was Jamie Cosgrove. Honestly, when I sat down with him, and my high school coach, Joe Mantegna, reached out to me before I went there, and he said, "Hey, dude, he's really going to help mold you into the man that you need to be," and he did. And that was one thing that he actually made a huge promise for, was just like, "I will help you get better as long as you come here to help us win." And then the final piece was just my core values. It aligned with my values, from the team to the school. Everything made sense for me.
So you spent 4 years as a member of the men's basketball team, as I said before, 3 NCAA tournaments. So you guys were pretty good. What made your team so successful at Adelphi?
Man, we worked hard. We were really, really good, man, during my run there. And I can definitely say we were just gritty. There was a term that we loved to use over those years. It was called earn your keep. We did a great job earning our keep defensively. We went out of our way to lock up every game we played. Every time we practiced, we pushed. Again, Kaz did a great job of helping us as young men dig super deep. We had probably some of the most grueling preseasons I've ever been a part of, even as a player, as a coach, as I ever seen, just because, again, I think Jamie as a player, when he was coming up, he just knew one way, and that was just to go as hard as he possibly could and kind of wear down your competition. And so that's literally what we did.
What was your favorite part about being a student athlete at Adelphi? What advantages did you have, and what was the coolest memories looking back of being a student athlete at Adelphi?
Honestly, the support, man. We had so much support. I can say, again, going back to like people outside of the basketball team, from tutors to administrators, again, like Maggie, being able to kind of just walk us through what real life was going to look like outside of basketball or after basketball. She helped me kind of clean my act up. And there was a lot of people. Suzette McQueen was one that also helped a whole lot. There was just a lot of resources that I felt were necessary for us as athletes, us as young men, that we needed to really prepare for what's out there in the real world.
So you mentioned life after basketball. At what point were you already a player at Adelphi? Was it beforehand? At what point did you realize being a strength coach, a performance coach was a career you wanted to pursue?
Yeah, I can remember, right? I think it was my junior year of college where I woke up one day and was like, all right, I am good on playing. It got me this far, got me the scholarship I needed. But I know basketball can still fuel my future. I looked at the two things that I love doing, right? So one was being in the weight room because I love being physical on the court. A term or a thing that my teammates gave me was the all D block team, which was the all strength team. And they always said I was first team. And so again, love being in the weight room. And then the second piece was I love being on the court. Playing basketball was a thing that I was extremely passionate about. And when I was a little younger, a lot younger actually, I said if I wasn't going to play, I was going to coach and be around it and help athletes be the best that they can possibly be. So it was easy for me. I found out that strength and conditioning was an actual career that I could pursue. I remember when Jamie asked me, like, hey, dude, does it make money? And I was like, dude, I don't know if it makes money. I'm really passionate about it. I'm excited about doing it. So it's something I'm going to pursue. Can you help me out? And, he did a great job of supporting me by giving me the ability to put the preseasons together for my junior and senior year. So I actually had that on my resume when I went to schools or to campuses to get a grad assistantship. And I was able to show that to people to say, hey, like, this is what at least I started with. Maybe I need to grow from here, but here's the experience that I've had. And I'm super thankful for kind of figuring that out my junior year.
Yeah, I want to piggyback off of that. That was actually my next question. What you did as a student athlete to help you kind of prepare. And it sounds like because of the coaching staff you had and the experience you were able to get, that really kind of helped springboard you, into the career from your time at Adelphi.
Yeah, man, and I don't know, like I feel like I'm giving Jamie a whole bunch of love during this talk, but it's truthful with all the things that he did, from the conditioning to pushing us to helping us, develop our mindset, to helping us establish a discipline. I knew I wanted to go down that road. I didn't want to be a coach per se, though. And so again, going through the most grueling preseasons ever, I said, all right, maybe I don't want to push people that hard, but I want to learn a little more about the body to figure out what's going to allow it to be most optimal during a game, during a moment when, stress is coming. I think about when I was playing, like midterms and being social and making sure that, we actually lived outside of basketball. Those are extra stresses sometimes, just because, we had practice early in the morning, we had class, we may have had practice or had to do something later on that day. For me, again, being a performance person, it was just like, all right, how do I now help somebody, or how do I now help the best of the best optimize their day and put themselves in a position so that they can continue to thrive? Because if I can go through this, I know I have something to share with other people that are definitely going to go through this and maybe not have the education or the tools to get it done. So, again, I thought I was going to be a cool resource after what I've gone through as an athlete.
So take us through, the end of your time at Adelphi. You're preparing to graduate, and you figure out that you want to do this for a career. I mentioned before you worked at Florida and then a job at George Washington. So what was that process like? What was the I guess transition like for you from being a player and a student athlete to now getting into the real world and getting your feet wet?
Yeah, man, it was cool, man. Again, I'm gonna bring up Kaz just because he did a great job of lining me up. So relationships are kind of like my go-to in life. Still to this day, I use a lot of relationships to look towards the future, to help me build my future. And so I reached back to my high school coach, Joe Mantegna, and I reached out to Kaz my senior year and said, hey, here are the schools that I'm thinking about going to grad school at. Do you know coaches there to help me out, right? Because that always helps when you have some sort of person speak for you, speak to your name. And so one day I was hanging out in my room, and Kaz called me and said, hey, GW actually has a grad assistantship open. You need to get on a train tomorrow and go down there to interview. And so I remember running to Payless to go grab a pair of shoes and finding my suit, my rusty suit that I had with the double-breasted shoulder pads on it. And I had to put it on and get on that train. And I took the little training program that I put together, And I got on that train, did a 3-hour train ride to DC, and Mark Bearden was there to greet me. And the fun part, at the end of the interview, he said, as soon as he saw me, he said his goal was to sell me on that job. And because he offered me the job right at the end of the actual interview. And so that was my first opportunity to work as a grad assistant strength and conditioning coach at GW, which was, again, amazing opportunity. And during that stint there, I went with our baseball team down to Florida, University of Florida, and I met Matt Herring, who was the men's basketball strength coach. And I sat down and listened to him talk for like an hour about his philosophy, about how he got there. And at the end of it, he was like, "You're a good dude, man. You want to do an internship here?" And I was like, "Cool, I'm with it." And so I went back up and I told Mark about it. And Mark was like, "Dude, it's a no-brainer. Go down there, make $5 grand in a year, sleep on the floor, eat crackers for lunch, breakfast, and dinner. But set yourself up, set your future up because of, the prestige of the University of Florida." Right. And so that journey was wild, but I was so passionate about performance and so passionate about pushing people and so passionate about helping people grow that I had to do whatever it took to actually get there. And so that Florida setup actually helped me get back to GW as the head strength coach and eventually assistant AD at one point. But that's kind of the early part of the journey. And it was cool.
So you were at GW then again for a while, as you just mentioned.
Yeah.
What was the experience like in college athletics from the other side then? And, you were so used to obviously being a player and an athlete, and then you go back and, once you got there full time, as you said, as a strength coach, what was that whole experience like working in college athletics for you?
Amazing, man. Honestly, I went into it like, all right, what legacy am I going to leave, right? What am I going to bring to this culture? I was already a grad assistant here, so I kind of had a one up on it, right? I knew what they had before I came back, and then I knew what they were going to offer me in the sense of like developing and building. And so my whole goal was just to say, all right, I know I'm going to leave this place at one point, but how can I leave it better, right? How can I leave it better than I found it? And that was the mission the whole time, is just saying, all right, how can I help these athletes be great on these platforms in the weight room? All right, let's look beyond that. How can I help these athletes be great when it comes to nutrition? How can I help them be great when it comes to recovery? How can I help them be great when it just comes to the holistic approach to performance? And so there was a point during my stint there where I did an event, a women's symposium that pretty much highlighted a former GW alum that is an Olympian who actually just participated in the Winter Olympics for bobsledding. She was on the softball team, Alana Myers. I had her come, a nutritionist or dietitian that I connected with at Florida. I had her come up, and then there was another like booster from GW that came in to speak about just women in sports. And I was saying, all right, well, this is the way I'm going to actually leave my legacy. I'm going to make sure that people understand that strength and conditioning should be now looked at as performance, and it should be something that's bigger than just being in the weight room. And so again, I went out of my way to maximize, just like when I was an athlete, I tried to maximize where I was until I got plucked out of that thing and moved on to the next thing.
I do want to just mention again briefly, anybody that has any questions for Ben throughout, we'll get to the Q&A, throughout this conversation. Also leave some time at the end. So there is a Q&A tab on the bottom of your screen, and type in any of those questions and we'll get to as many as we can. So you mentioned on to the next thing, right? On to the next thing is on to the NBA. So how do you go from working in college athletics to being a performance coach in the NBA? What was that process like?
Oh man. So before the call, we talked about NBA rookies and NBA players, as rookies, and just how wet behind the ears they are, how many mistakes they make. That was me. My first year, man, I was making so many mistakes. The best analogy that I have for it is that there's a treadmill going about 25 miles per hour. And, you've now been nominated as one of the people that can jump on that treadmill and go, right? At first, you feel a little too confident, right? Your ego kicks in and you're trying to like keep up with everybody. But you don't understand what's around that corner. And so you might bump your knee a couple of times and fall off. So my first year, I bumped my knee a whole bunch, but I figured out ways to get back up. I'll say that that was probably one of my best years as a performance coach because it challenged me. I was now in an environment where it wasn't the same as college. There were a lot of different moving pieces. I had to navigate relationships from physical therapists to athletic trainers to different athletes to front office to coaches to the strength coach Todd Forcier that I worked with. We had to navigate a whole bunch together, and we had to figure it out, you know. And so after the first year, it was funny. I actually slept for a full day. I think I got out of my bed one day or 1 hour in that day just to kind of go to the bathroom, eat some food, and I went right back to bed. But it was a grind, and it still is a grind, but I've obviously got my feet under me, and it's a little different now.
Did you have a welcome to the NBA moment? One specific moment where you looked around and were like, wow, I'm here working in the NBA?
Yeah, dude, I did. I was going to actually grab the shoes that I had that they gave me for my interview for the Blazers. I still have them. I'm probably going to put them in a little box or something. It was just a cool day where when they flew me out, I knew that if I had an opportunity to sit in front of somebody, I was going to be able to get the job. I felt like my personality was going to be able to win over anybody and everybody in the room. And so after talking to the GM and the head coach, they were like, cool, Thomas Robinson's here and we want you to work him out. And I think he just got picked up, or we just picked him up from a trade or whatever. And we want you to be a part of his workout. I don't know what's going to be done, but like, we just want you to be a part of it. So I go to the locker room, they give me my gear. I got the sneakers, the red kicks, the whole Blazer outfit. And I haven't officially signed just yet. But I went out to the court. Thomas Robinson is a freak athlete, about 6'9", 245. I'm trying to guard him in the post. I'm passing him the ball. I'm doing all these different things. Again, I have no clue what the heck I'm supposed to be doing, but I'm executing and I'm doing things, right? And so after that, I shower up and then they offer me the job, which was super, super cool. And so that was the surreal moment that was like, oh crap, this is really happening. All the things that I worked for as an intern all the way back at Florida actually paid off many, many years later when I finally got there to the Blazers.
I'm sure a lot of people on this call, they know obviously what a strength and conditioning, coach does, obviously at the college level, or I've heard the term of a performance coach, but can you tell us, what does the day-to-day training schedule, maybe a practice day and a game day for an NBA player look like? What does your day-to-day look like for training NBA guys?
Yeah, so I love the two areas you brought up. So practice day, I'll cover that one first. Think of these guys as high-end cars, right? Like NASCAR or like a Ferrari or a Lamborghini, right? It can go out there and drive at 200 miles per hour for a very long time. But at one point it needs to go back into the garage, and they get the cool scientists and all the different workers to now work on it and fine tune it. So that's what we pretty much do on practice days, where guys come in, they'll connect with their physical therapist or the massage therapist, and they'll do some sort of soft tissue work, some sort of mobbing, some sort of activation work that allows them to now be realigned. Then guys will come to us in the weight room, and we'll do some sort of strength training, depending on where they are in the depth chart. We figure out what we need to now implement and prescribe to that guy. So if they are, let's say the 12th man on the team and up to like the 17th man on the team, they may be in just training mode, right? We need to now get stronger, get bigger, get better, just because you're kind of like a college rookie or a college freshman. Then you've got that middle of the road crew that plays maybe like 10 to 15 minutes a game. Maybe they need to do some sort of strength work, but they're not going to do the same thing as that other group. And then you've got your main guys that are in the rotation pretty much every game. And we'll do some sort of strength work, but it's not going to be as much volume and as intense as the other groups. So that's pretty much a practice day where we try to prepare them for that next game. We may or may not practice. It all depends on the coach's style. With Terry Stotts, we may have practiced every once in a while. With Doc, honestly, we don't practice as much, but when we do, it's very short and condensed. So I try to make sure that, again, we resemble that in the weight room when we're training guys, because we're not here for anything else other than making sure that they perform well on the court. So we're here for basketball. We're not here for making sure that they can always hit certain numbers in the weight room. It's just not a thing. And then the game day. Game days are actually kind of fun. Each person's completely different. Some guys like to lift early in the morning and like get after it. Some guys like to lift right before the game and get after it. Some guys like to lift right after the game. We call those the post-game parties. That's an opportunity for a guy to win the big energy chain. I'm wearing the big energy t-shirt right now. And that's more of a culture builder, right? If a guy comes in with great energy, lifts the room up, inspires another guy to actually go a little harder, we end up blessing them with the big energy chain at one point. So it's on game days, it's a lot different, but we try to make sure that we schedule guys, we put guys in positions to not only know that, hey, like we've got a couple of games coming up, we've got 5 and 8, we've got 7 and 10 or 7 and 13 coming up. This is a perfect time to lift. This is a practice day. So now we can get a practice day at home, actually. So now we can get all these things in. Here's a practice day on the road. So now we can get all these things in. Or let's do it post game, because I feel like you're in a great rhythm, typically when you actually lift after a game. So it all depends on the guy, their body, and how they respond.
Before we get into your current job and day-to-day work with the Sixers, I want to ask one more Blazers question. They had a good amount of success while you were there, made the Western Conference Finals. Obviously, you got a chance to work with one of the best players in the league in Damien Lillard. Yeah. What did you learn from working with him, and what were you have any cool stories that you can maybe share about working with one of the NBA's big stars?
Oh man, Dame is an elite human being, down to earth human being. I'll say that family matters a lot. So regardless of where you are in life, high, low, in the middle of the road, on your journey, still trying to get to that next destination, get aligned with family. If it's one person or 20 people, get really grounded, because he did a great job of keeping really authentic people around. Number two was that he might still be one of the hardest workers I've ever seen in my life as an athlete. The guy has made over $200 million, will probably make over $500 million or more in his career. But he works like he's still trying to make it to the NBA. And I'm not lying. Like, you can ask anybody that has seen him during the summertime, the dude just goes hard as all heck. And I remember being there being like, hey, dude, there's nothing wrong with like tapering off a little bit, but he's just wired that way. And that's what's allowed him to actually be as great as he's been over the last, 10 years or 11 years that he's been in the NBA. And it's cool. Again, I don't think people really understand that these guys are very talented, but what separates like the best from the best is the fact that, their work ethic doesn't change. Like, he's had a lot of success. He's achieved a lot. He just turns up on that work ethic, and it's pretty special.
So you've been back here East now with the Sixers for a little over a year now. What was that transition like, and what do you like most about being back here closer to home?
Yeah, man, it was amazing. It was amazing. It was crazy at the same time. Amazing. It was amazing because I was able to come back East. God put it on my heart that I actually would come back East at one point. I was talking to some friends about it. Didn't know how it was going to happen, but the opportunity popped up, and Tador Pandolf, the coach that I worked with, our director of performance here, reached out to me and was like, hey, dude, you're interested in this job? And I said, heck yeah. And we kind of had a negotiation right then and there. And, I popped up over here, and it's been a blessing because my mom lives in North Carolina now. We're back on the same time zone. I've got a lot of friends and family in Philadelphia. I'm closer to Adelphi. I can probably come up there now and check things out. I haven't been back there so long. And just that East Coast energy has been amazing to get back to that. And again, I love Portland. Grew up a lot, turned into the man I am right now, just because I learned a lot about myself and the things I like, the things I enjoy. But it's cool to be back and bring all the cool learnings that I picked up out there, and now actually utilize them here for the city. And then as for the Sixers, it's actually amazing to be able to work with one of the top 15 greatest coaches in Doc Rivers, which is super, super cool. And then also just a different organization. Portland was a smaller organization compared to Philly, which is like, I think we're in one of the top 3 to 4 biggest markets in the NBA, which it just hits different. And so, and expectations are completely different. I think we wanted to push to win a championship there, but like there's a window of time here that just it's like championship period. Let's make it happen. You're here to do your part. You're here to do your role. Let's figure out what or how you can actually maximize what you do, and let's see if it fits into the puzzle for us to win a championship.
I'm sure a lot of people watching are curious. We were talking about it a bit before the call. Obviously, the Sixers have been in the news, over the last couple of weeks with the big trade acquiring James Harden. What is it like for you in your role when the team makes a trade? Obviously, you get a high-profile player to come in. What does it work? What does it look like for you when they come in? How do you get them ready, get them up to speed, from a strength and conditioning perspective, and get them ready to play?
Yeah, man. You know what? This organization, this team, we're very collaborative. And so we all get on the same page. Our athletic care team is freaking out of this world, dude. From our VP of athletic care to the PTs, the massage therapists, the physical therapists, athletic trainers, strength coaches, player development. We all get on the same page to try to figure out what's necessary for this person to thrive. And then we just execute. We also sit down with, the player. Again, James, he's a special athlete that's been around the league, so he knows what he wants. So anytime we have a vet come in, regardless if it's James or anybody else, we also have Paul Millsap come in. We just talk to him and just say, hey, what has allowed you to have the success that you've had? What do you need? How can we support you best? And then we go from there. Because again, this is, unlike college, this isn't us always teaching, right? When they step into our space, our goal is to keep it very simple. Because they have this unique ability, this talent that we don't really need to do much with other than give clear directions on what they need to do from a strength training standpoint, maybe nutritionally and a couple of other things. But these folks are they're freak athletes, and you kind of have to get out the way to actually allow them to be special superstars that they are.
Another big name, obviously, you get to work with on a daily basis is Joel Embiid. How cool is it working with him? What kind of stories can you share about Joel?
Yeah, Joe is a very special athlete, man. He is a once in a lifetime type athlete. He's freaking one of the biggest dudes I've ever worked with. The dude is legit 7'1", 7'2" maybe, and amazing 285 and can move well. Is light on his feet. Actually moves like a guard, which is incredible to see and to watch. It's incredible to train. I think I said it before, what I try to do is just keep it very simple. His physical therapist and I partner up, Kim. We partner up every day to figure out what we need to do to get this guy organized and focused for that next game or for that next moment that he actually has to go out there and perform. And the fun part is he knows his body. Joe's been through a whole bunch in his career. So we listen. And we try to make sure that we give him things that make the most sense for him, the best bang for his buck. And it's been fun working with him. Again, there's no difference when it comes to dealing with the elite. Again, Dame was about his family. Joe was about his family. Dame was about a routine. Joe was about a routine. They look different, right? They step into it differently. They own it differently. But that's been one of the consistent themes of working with the best of the best.
How do you... over these last decade or so, how do you deal with being a former player and, getting to sit there, you do all your work to get these guys as prepared as possible, right? Throughout the day and throughout the weeks. And then you're sitting there on the bench during the game and there's nothing you could do about it, but cheer them on. How does that, how do you handle that mentally?
It's actually pretty easy for me, just because I've done my part. I've been about winning since day one. I'm going to do exactly what I need to do to help us succeed. I care about winning. And so me wanting more, that's my ego stepping in. I've learned to manage that. I feel like I'm confident in what I know I can bring to the table because I've done it for so long. And so when I get the opportunity to sit down, if things go awry and things get crazy, guess what? This is your time to perform and show up. So now it's oh, snap, I actually get to do my job again. And I know I'm great at it. Right? I know I'm one of the best at it. So it's fun to be able to step in when the time is necessary, when the time is right. And it's fun to also be able to just sit back and enjoy what we've now worked on over the last 6 months, from a summer, from a preseason or pre-preseason, from a preseason, in season, all that stuff. We've done the work. There's no need to now fret or worry about anything else that we can possibly do.
We have some great questions coming in on the Q&A tab. We'll get to all of them. Hopefully, I have a couple more questions for Ben, and then we'll get to all the Q&As. So if you have a question for him, please pop them in, and we'll get to them all shortly. A lot of good stuff coming in. I do, before we get to the Q&As though, Ben, I have to ask you, you recently launched your own company. I know you're very proud about from our prior conversations, Great Day Squad. How did that come about? And tell us a little bit about that.
Heck yeah. So Great Day Squad is a personal development platform, and we're focused on helping you make every day great. I went out of my way to go find the best athletes, the best coaches, the best people in the world, to now lead workshops that are going to help people improve their mind and body. And the movement actually started from my heart aneurysm. I was diagnosed with a heart aneurysm about 3 years ago. It was a weird way I found out about it, and it actually floored me. It put me in a really weird spot. And so digging myself out of that hole that I was in mentally and physically, because I had to kind of change my life, I started to just run, go for like nice slow jogs. And on Instagram, I would share a picture, and it would just, I would tag Great Day for a Run. And people started to actually repost that, not knowing what it was from, not knowing what it was about. And that's where the movement actually started, right? So on IG, I have a whole bunch of stories saved with everybody kind of participating in that movement. And as we continue to kind of grow, I said, you know what, let's use this platform with purpose, not just to inspire, but to put people in a position to grow and develop. And so I went out of my way to now go find or tap some of the cool people that I know and have met on my journey to now share in workshops how they can actually help others when it comes to eating better, when it comes to sleeping better, when it comes to rest and recovery, when it comes to training, when it comes to mental health, mental well-being, putting yourself in a position to have a great day. It's not easy. Again, I don't know where my calendar is, but I have a wild schedule in the NBA. And with the amount of games that we have, I try to focus on one day at a time, right? And so how can I make today great? And in this platform, my goal is to just deliver as much as possible to now give you the keys to making every day great. And so we host these workshops that are super, super fun, super cool. And we're now looking to revamp. This year, we're going to host 10 workshops, one per month, that will have Olympians, NBA players, coaches, life skills coach, mindset coaches, people just delivering really cool workshops on how to improve the mental and physical health, how to improve your nutrition, how to build community, how to grow with community, all these different things. So again, Great Day Squad is something that started with my heart, but I know I want to now utilize this platform, this movement to inspire and help people across the world.
And you have your own Instagram, of course, a YouTube channel. I know you told me you're also in the process of writing a book, which is awesome. Tell us a little bit about that, but also, what does it mean, to know that you're using your platform to help inspire people and help, have everybody have a great day, right? That's the purpose of it. Heck
yeah, dude. It means, to me, this is actually just deeper than just me wanting to get out there. This is something that my family's been about. Both of my grandfathers were pastors. One was more on a local level, and then another one's more on a global level. And it's cool to now say, like, all right, they used the vehicle of church, God, religion as a tool to now inspire people. And now I'm using performance and leadership and inspiration as a tool to now inspire people across the world. And so, again, this is kind of me grabbing the baton and just running with it, knowing that this is something that's been embedded in me. So this is more of an innate thing that I just want to continue to serve and support people. It's fun. I enjoy doing it just like I do with the 15 guys every day. I want to now be able to be in a space where I can help millions of people, and 15 million is the number I love to use, just because I do believe we need support. We need positive support out there. And if I have to be one of the people that do it, cool. Would love to continue to lead that legacy. So the next person in my family, the next person that actually feels this ripple, picks up whatever it is that they're working on and actually, delivers that message or delivers that tool, that resource to people around them, so that we can continue this wave of positivity and optimism.
You work every day with the elite athletes, as we've talked about. What kind of fitness advice can you give as a professional strength coach to us regular people on the call, or the student athletes here at Adelphi that are watching, to help their performance get better?
Oh man, so that's a great question. I'm going to give you two simple answers that everybody can do. And this is very cost effective. Sleep more, or be better at sleeping. Just because I know from science, neuroscientists, there's a lot of research out there that shows that if you sleep, I think it's a window between 6 and 8, might be 7 and 8 or 8 or more, whatever, but that window of 6 to 8 hours is the optimal amount of time that you actually need to fully recover so that you can go out there and execute the next day, regardless of what it is. Execute on your field, your court, in the classroom, as a professional. Sleep is huge. Anybody can do it. And I know life is happening. I know, you've got families, you've got kids, you've got a lot of things you've got to worry about sometimes, but prioritizing that sleep will actually allow a lot of other things to grow and develop, so that you can thrive. And then the second piece is just do something active, do some sort of physical activity for 30 minutes every day. So that can be a walk, jog, run. Again, let's go back to Great Day for a Run. I love to run, but I don't run every day now, right? I try to actually practice a little more stillness. So that means I get to go outside and go for a walk, right? I go up to Rittenhouse Square, do a little lap around there, or walk to the Schuylkill River, and talk on the phone, or I try to get outside and I do something, some sort of physical activity, even when it's a rest day. I don't train every last day, but I try to do something to move my body, so that that we can continue to remove the toxins, get the waste out, and get that good energy in. So those are my two: sleep more, or sleep that 6 to 8 hour window, and then also get outside and just move for 30 minutes.
All right, I like it. This is also part of our Black History Month celebration at Adelphi, of course. Want to get your take on that, and the social justice conversation that, of course, has been ongoing in the world. The NBA has taken a leading role in that and in the movement the last couple of years. What are some stories you can share? I guess, how special is it for you to be a part of that and a part of the movement in the NBA, which is taking such a leading role in it?
Yeah, great question. It is Black History Month, and I'm going to say the NBA has knocked this out the park. With Grand Slam, they support players. They support, as an organization, they support players. They support staff members. They support employees, coaches. I feel like Doc has been very outspoken about not just Black history, but just African Americans in this movement, to now make sure that we get rid of a lot of the wild racism or the wild things that are happening out there in the world. And it's just amazing to see. A story that I'll share with you is one of my last days in the bubble that we had in Orlando. I think that was 2 summers ago now, where it was, I was with the Blazers still, and we were down 3-1 to the Lakers. And we had a game to go play against the Lakers. I think it was game 5. And 5 minutes before getting on the bus, the Milwaukee Bucks decided to boycott the game. I can't remember where something went down. I think it was like Minnesota, something went down, and they stopped playing. And the NBA, got together, players, the NBA Players Association, NBA, they got together and they kind of, jumped on board and just said, all right, we're with you. And we kind of had to stay at a standstill. We eventually played that game like 3 or 4 days later, but that proved that, the NBA was actually behind everybody when it came to social justice and making sure that they stood for something and backed the people that considered their employees. And it was pretty cool. Again, interesting moment because it came out of nowhere, and it was very unexpected. What went down in actually Minnesota, and then what went down in the bubble. It was very unexpected. But for the NBA to now get all its resources together and now be able to put things out social media wise and give support where support was needed was pretty cool.
We have a couple good questions on this topic in the Q&A, so I want to jump to some of them. First is from Suzette McQueen, who says, Ben, so proud of all that you're doing. My question relates to representation of Black coaches and staff in pro sports. The NFL continues to struggle while the NBA, as we've talked about, seems to have done a better job. In your role in strength and conditioning, is there representation of Black professionals? What other spaces do you see a lack of representation or good representation?
Yeah, great question, Suzette. I appreciate you. Love you. I just talked to her not too long ago. Um, so there's more representation than ever over the last 2 years when it comes to NBA basketball, from strength and conditioning to head coaches to just coaching in general. Over the last 9 years, it's definitely improved. And it's just the process. I think the biggest thing when it comes to sports is that as we continue to evolve and grow, we all understand that this is just a part of the process. I think sometimes we want everything to happen now and immediately, but I think timing's everything. All the coaches that have now been blessed with opportunities, some of them have been blessed because they worked their butts off, right? This wasn't a social justice issue. They just put themselves in positions to now thrive. And I feel like some of those coaches, the Black coaches, are just like, hey, dude, I earned this opportunity. Some coaches may have been blessed just because, social justice and what's happening in the world. But I think we all should take a step back and understand that like the growth is happening, the education is happening, and it will be across all the sports at one point. But it's a process. We're coming a long, long way in our history in this country of dealing with all the negative things that we dealt with racism. And it's crazy to even think about some of the baseball players. I think it was like Jackie Robinson and him being one of the best baseball players ever and what he had to deal with, right? And so from that to now, I feel like we've made, strides and now getting more representation, the right representation out there. I always like to go to this line of like, when people are blessed, I hope the folks that are blessed with these opportunities are deserving, experienced, and qualified for these moments. Because I don't want a filler person to go into a spot. I want the right person to go into a spot. And again, I think that takes time. Some people may be prepared for it. Some people may not be. And so again, I think we're going to be the example of how to continue to lead in that space. And the NFL is going to do what the NFL does. Same thing with MLB and any other sport out there in the world. But I do believe the NBA, like I said before, does a great job when it comes to this.
Another question from an anonymous attendee. Doc Rivers, you spoke a little bit about Doc before. Your head coach is on the NBA Social Justice Coalition. With a head coach who has a reputation of being in tune with current events, does the team ever have open discussions about the social justice issues, and how do the 76ers integrate real world issues into their everyday work?
Yeah, early on, Doc talked about it a lot. He was very outspoken at practices. He'll mention it. And it's something that if we need to talk about it, there's space to have the conversation. And that's one thing I really do appreciate about what's going on in the NBA is just like they're not just saying it, they're actually creating spaces for, coaches, players, anybody to now have dialogue. And I can tell you that I've seen strength coaches, start movements for certain things. I've seen development coaches start certain movements for things. I've seen head coaches speak to it, and they've all gotten the support that they deserve to make sure that we continue to move the needle and not just put something on social media. This is literally happening when it's necessary and when it's needed.
Another one's similar to what we just talked about, but want to get to it from another attendee. The NBA is known as the most progressive of the American sports leagues in terms of social justice and equality. What are your thoughts on the various initiatives that they conduct, and are any of these programs that stand out to you?
I can't tell you all the programs just because there's so many. I remember Dame and the Blazers, choosing a couple of different organizations to support from a nonprofit standpoint. I actually remember when we took a workshop at the Blazers when I was with the Blazers, right when everything was going down with the protests, and a lot erupted in Portland. If you guys didn't see, it was actually very cool to be a part of some of the actual walks, the protests that were going on, very peaceful. But we did this workshop from my guy, Greg. I'm missing, it was called something conversations. I'm blanking on the, it's something like tough conversations or diverse conversations. And so we ended up having our CEO at the time, Chris McGowan, on with white CEO on with a Black employee, and we did all these exercises with role play, and it was a very powerful session. We were on Zoom, and we had everybody's faces up, and it got to a point where like Chris broke down a little bit when he was actually asked to be a Black man running, because this is right when the Ahmaud situation just happened. And so he said, how do you feel as a Black man running now in Portland, Oregon? And he kind of like slowed up a little bit and had to like take 2 seconds to think about it, because it hit different, right? When you put yourselves in our shoes, in our position, in the sense of just being an African-American person, having to kind of go outside and deal with what we went through during that moment, it really hit home for him. And so I thought that was a powerful session. And I wish I could remember the freaking name of the group, because he does such a great job, and they do it they did it for a couple of NBA teams, and they've done it for other organizations as well. It's a diversity, equity, and inclusion company. But if I remember at one point during this combo, I'll share it with you.
As we've talked about, progress has been made, but we know there's plenty more work to do. So from your seat, how can we continue, and how can everybody on this call continue to help make progress in this area?
Yeah, educate. I know the world loves to reprimand people and put people in weird positions, but like, if that's going to happen, which we know that's going to happen, we've also got to make sure we educate. I believe that it's on me to learn a little more about the root of this systematic thing that's happening right now. It's on employees at organizations to learn a little more about it. It's on the employer to figure out how to continue to provide the right tools and resources so that they can learn about it. Because this is something that wasn't talked about as much maybe 10 years ago, and now it's being talked about a lot. So just making sure that you provide the right resources, making sure that you educate yourself as much as possible, and be ready for a conversation, and don't be afraid of good dialogue that will allow everybody in that space to grow.
Question from Jody Sparico, who says, Ben, you continue to be a source of pride for us at Adelphi. Thanks for being such an incredible role model and setting the pace both professionally and personally. Jody asks, tell us about the image on the wall behind you.
Oh, it's a really good image that I had painted a while ago. So thank you for noticing, Jody. I appreciate you, AU. We out here. So I'm gonna back up real quick so you can see it. It's a podcast that I started called The Unique Piece years ago now, maybe 5-6 years ago. Did about 80 episodes. Ended up stopping because a lot of life was happening. That's actually right when I first found out about my heart aneurysm. But the unique piece is actually this right here. I had it painted. A lot of the things that inspire me, I have painted at one point, just because I need to get the thought out, and I want to make sure that I remembered the energy behind it. And so what the unique piece is, this is your purpose. This is something that you're supposed to grab and develop and work on over time, and then you're supposed to release it to the world, and now allow the world to use it and feed off of it. And you can also grab another thing, right? There's a couple of different things that you may be able to do over a lifetime. And so this painting for me is a person grabbing it and a person letting it go. And I think it's super important for all of us to figure out what our purpose is, what our vision, what our mission is on this earth, so that we can grab it, develop it, and then eventually give it back so that other people can be inspired and it can help them build their legacy.
If you have more questions for Ben, again, in that Q&A tab, we have a couple of minutes left, so please get them in here. We get as many in for Ben as possible. From Ian Schreier, who says, do your experiences at Adelphi still impact you in your professional career? And to elaborate, how can a graduating senior get their foot in the door today?
Oh, man. Yes. So I'm going to go back to relationships, man. They're huge. Best piece of advice I was given when I've had moments of doubt about my growth, and I felt a little stunted, I felt stuck, was just like, rely on the thing that's allowed you to get here, right? So now being in college, there's certain things that you went through a process. Hopefully you wrote down a couple of pros and cons to Adelphi. Hopefully you wrote down your vision of like where you want it to be. And if you have it, cool, this is an opportunity to do it. Like, where the heck do I want to be? Sweet. What are the resources that I have around me to now figure out how to get there? Maybe there's a coach, maybe there's an administrator, maybe there's somebody that you've met on your journey at Adelphi that can help you get to that next space. Educating yourself is another huge thing, making sure that you're prepared so that when that call does come, that you've got to now hop on that train, that 3-hour train ride, you know, with your Payless shoes on and your double-breasted suit, you can go down there and get it done. And so preparing yourself from an educational standpoint. And then the last piece is just like, go experience life and have fun. I think we forget a lot about enjoying where we are. In those moments, you'll actually run into some people that align with your values and really just want to support you. And a lot of the times that good energy coming your way will put you in the right space at the right time. And so I think those three things are huge.
We have one from Curtis Minnis, who is a past Black History Month honoree here at Adelphi. Yep. He said, Ben, also very proud of you. It was great chatting with you a couple of months ago. What direction would you provide to many of our youth of color on the true perspective of the actual potential for success at the professional level? A perspective that balances focus on sport coupled with an equally rational focus on academics and career development outside of athletics.
Yeah, man. Bottom line, if you want to be the best, you better be like willing to work, period. If you're not willing to work, you can't think about being a part of the elite of anything, not just sports, just in anywhere. You've got to be willing to take some lumps, to take some punches, to take some blows, to understand that like it might feel good right now, but there's going to be moments where it doesn't feel good at all, and you're going to have to push through that. So regardless of your color, I think it's important to just want to be the best, but do the steps, commit to actually being the best at whatever it is that you're trying to be the best at. And then when it comes to young Black men and women, go out of your way to make sure that people can literally see that you're the best, right? Not just talk a good talk, because that doesn't really get you anywhere. That'll get you maybe into a conversation with somebody. But then like when you roll out your resume and you have all that amazing stuff to now go behind it, plus people to be like, yo, this dude or this chick is like the person for this job that you may have never even met. They've just seen the work, the body of work that you've done. Now you have other people speaking for you. And so again, you've got to go out of your way to work extremely hard, put yourself in a position where you might be a little bit uncomfortable, but I can tell you when you're uncomfortable, you're growing. And that's important. So consistently grow, educate yourself. And again, go out there and have fun. Make sure that you're chasing something that you really enjoy.
A couple more here to get to. Someone asks, how do you stay down to earth while being part of the center stage of basketball, probably one of the most watched sports in the world?
It's crazy. I forget that sometimes. Down to earth. Honestly, my core values, man, I don't know if I've talked much about them, but like my core values are family, faith, gratitude, passion, and hard work. I've got them tattooed on my arm. I've added actually 2 more, longevity and conquer. They mean the world to me. And I never forget those things. I never forget the people that helped me develop those. I try to stay connected to people that knew me from when I first started. I try to make sure that when I do achieve a new height, or I do get to meet a new person, that I just stay grounded in who I am. I think that's actually given me the edge on my quote unquote competition, right? Because when people do meet me, regardless of where you are in life, this is what you're getting. In this interview, in real life, at work, when I'm doing Great Day Squad stuff, when I'm speaking across the world, when I'm in my books that I'm writing, in the things that I put out, from social media to anything that I do, I try to really lean into those values. So staying authentic is really how I stay grounded.
This one made me chuckle. I'll amend it to say any NBA player, but this person specifically asked about Joel Embiid. What does a cheat day look like?
A cheat day for them. Cheat day for them. I don't, honestly, I'll tell you my cheat day. I love wings. So again, I'm Mr. Fit, and I train all the freaking time, and I put myself in a lot of extreme situations, from doing half Ironman to running marathons and doing all the things that I know are going to push me physically. And I still eat donuts. I love a good cupcake. I just had this piece of pie the other day that was from this bakery up the street out here in Philly. It was incredible. And I'm guaranteeing you that the amazing athletes that you see and you watch every day, they have cheat days as well. We are human beings. It's actually funny when people think like they need to eat extremely healthy every 2 seconds. It's like, I get it. You're getting paid millions of dollars. Some people can do that. Just like in normal life. Some people can live like a very structured, rigid life, but then some people just need a break and realize that these athletes, these performers, these entertainers are some of the best in the world. So they can go through a lot more of hanging out and having their moments and still perform well. And again, yes, ideal. I would love for these guys to have, the perfect starch or perfect grain every day. I would love for these guys to eat the right amount of greens every day. I would love for these guys to go out of their way to say, hey, no, I'm going to sleep my 8 hours every night. But then I forget, like, these are young men. Like, on average, I think dudes in the NBA are like between like 19 and like 26. Like, if you're a college student, like, just to let you know, like 19 to 26, like, you're still maturing, you're still figuring out life. You're going to hit a couple happy hours. So realize they're the same person. Yes, they're making a lot more money and the expectations are completely different, but they're human beings still.
We have time for really just like 2-3 more here. Just popped in. For someone interested working in sports, how is the transition moving around the country for job opportunities and getting adjusted to the new cities?
Shoot. Whew. Moving to Philly was the best because I had friends and family here. It was still a move. I moved from Portland to Philadelphia, which was a whole lot. And I did it during our shotgun start to the season because COVID was a thing. And so they wanted to still start, but they wanted to do it before the Christmas break because I think there was like a certain amount of money that we would get as a organization if we did it before Christmas break. So like that was tough because I stayed on a friend's couch. But I had friends here that actually helped me find an apartment pretty quick. And that the moving was fairly easy. But I think with this career, you've got to make sure you know your strengths and weaknesses when it comes to building community. If you are very shy, right? I've got a little introvert in me, right? I'm not shy, but I've got the whole ability to recharge well when I'm in isolation. That's just kind of how it rolls for me because I'm around so many people and I'm Mr. Big Energy. So a lot of people absorb that, and I've got to figure out ways to kind of reboot. That's me trying to recharge. But if I'm an introverted, shy person that has to now build new community, meaning like connect with new coworkers, connect with people in that city. Imagine if you're with wife and kid. Now you've got to be able to find friends for them, right? There's so many things that go back to just you being able to now connect with people. I think it's super important to actually have that on your list or top of your list when it comes to being in this business, just because it's not everybody's going to be blessed like me, man. I've been blessed. I've literally had 3 jobs in my adult career: GW, Portland, and here. And I look at those jobs as 10-year jobs where I was there for a long time. And typically in the real world, people are at a job for maybe 2 to 3 years or less, and they move on. And so realize you just have to be good at building community and connecting with people and be there for it. Don't shy away from it because the better you are at that, the quicker you actually achieve.
We'll end on this one. What advice can you give the student athletes, at all levels, whether they're freshmen, seniors looking for a job, as they, are in competition, but also preparing to move on to the world after Adelphi?
Develop some core values. Figure out what it is that allows you to tick. Again, mine are family, faith, gratitude, passion, hard work, conquering, longevity. Those are things that my life has actually proven that I'm about. You can look back at my resume and see that I really cared about that. Figure out the things that you really care about. What's most important to you? Pick 5 things. They don't have to be just singular words. They can be phrases. and write those things down. And then from there, success happens when you chase the things that pour into those values. So realize that you may want to be, the billionaire that's out there, helping the world and the philanthropist. But if it doesn't align with your values, you've got to figure out something, right? Maybe that goal, that vision that you have for later on in life, later on in your career, is something that's going to align with the values as you grow, because you can always add or modify. But take this moment today and just write down the things that you value the most, the 5 things that are most important to you, because they'll help you navigate and help you make the decision for picking up a mentor, taking on a job, taking on an internship, and what you're actually willing to struggle a little bit with, right? What are you willing to suffer with? Just because it's not going to be easy, y'all. This is super, super cool to have this career over the last 16 years. But there have been a lot of hard moments that I can promise you, me staying aligned with my core values have allowed me to actually push through.
If people want to get in touch, follow you, anybody on this call, how can they do so?
On Instagram or LinkedIn. Instagram is at Ben Kenyon _Ben_Kenyon_ at Great Day Squad is another piece or another platform that you can go check me out or check the community out. And then on LinkedIn as well. I'm active on those two. I haven't been very active as of recent just because I'm finishing up some projects that I'm really excited about. But those are 2 places. And then you can email me as well. bk@greatdaysquad.com is the other area you can send some info and you can connect there.
Ben, thank you so much for this. This was really insightful. I know part of your Great Day Squad, some of the people from Adelphi were texting me, great day to be a Panther, right?
Come on now. Great day to be a Panther, baby. Hold on.
Make sure you get that shout out in there as part of it. Thank you so much for this. This was awesome. And again, anybody watching, this will be up on YouTube as well if you want to watch back. But Ben, we really appreciate it. And congratulations on all your success.
Thank you, Kevin. Appreciate you, man.
Thanks, everybody.